Hey, what's going on there, everyone? Thanks for checking in. It is the Earthmaster here on this finally Friday, July 14th, already through almost the middle of the month, 2023. It's about 11:03 a.m. here, California time. Latest quake on the globe. Looks like, where's it hiding? Somewhere over there. 2.3 into the Oklahoma area. It looks like they're in the green flag. Notice we did have some larger scale movement taking place there into the Middle America Trench. Did see a 6.3 earthquake there into the subduction zone here, about the northern edge here of the Middle America Trench, 35 kilometers deep. That was followed up by a 5.2, but there's a lot of other aftershock activity occurring within that region. Now, this is a somewhat, not really deep, but it's deeper than at the surface levels. So that limited the amount of damage at the surface. Looks like a few folks did report feeling it, but mainly light shaking reported throughout the area of Mexico. Historical data, look at that. No stranger to earthquakes, that's for sure. They can get some big ones, much bigger than the 6.3 they've seen today. I don't think this is, I don't believe these are foreshocks, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Considering the swarm of activity that's kicking up there in that region. Although not uncommon to see this many aftershocks, there's still some magnitudes in there that are quite high. So we'll continue to watch that. Again, that's around the Middle America Trench, just off the southern tip here of the Mexico area. Any adjustment going on up north following this activity? Well, let's see what we got here for California up a little bit further north. There's that earthquake that's coming in just within the last hour, 2.4, near Alva, Oklahoma area. As far as California goes, doesn't look like we've seen any plate adjustment going on upstream here. A lot of times we will watch, some subsequent movement potentially, depending on where this activity takes place here. This subduction zone tends to add further strain amongst the Caribbean plate here. Notice the two arrows. That is a subduction zone quake. Although I think this on this map should be potentially a little bit further up north here. But that is indeed the Middle America Trench where this earthquake struck at. Notice right here, Middle America Trench, subduction zone. You can see it pretty fairly nicely there. So the way things are looking here, should kick up around the Caribbean plate. I know we've been pretty active here around Puerto Rico with that 6-pointer and some other swarms going on around the Puerto Rico Trench. So we'll continue to watch this area. But also at the same time, that type of earthquake activity can either migrate north or south here into the other plates. But for now, it doesn't look like we're seeing any adjustment up north into California for now. Generally light earthquake activity across the region today. 2.5 map and above shows, well, a handful of earthquakes, mostly from yesterday. The all magnitudes map here shows the continued swarming here around the Cobb Mountain area of California. That's the Calpine hydrothermal operations, and if you check out the satellite view, there's quite a few of these hydrothermal plants. They create energy by injecting raw sewage below into the heated surfaces. It's a whole process. I guess it works. But also at the same time, we get the earthquake activity along with that process. Cascadia subduction zone there, 2.0 from yesterday. Little one out into the Blanco fracture zone as well from yesterday as well. Pacific Northwest, awfully quiet. Not a whole lot going on through the Intermountain West areas. Yellowstone region looks fairly quiet as well, but I do want to double check and make sure that we're looking at the most recent data here. There's that 6-pointer, 6.3 there into the Mexico area earlier this morning. It struck about 3 o'clock or so, 3:30 my time frame when I was sleeping. I actually had a pretty good night of sleep last night. But as far as earthquake activity goes, it looks generally absent here of earthquake activity. Now that's a 6.3 we're seeing all across the seismograph stations. And that's from the quake down in Mexico. Well south here, well south almost to Guatemala. Let's see, the rest of the area of the country, There's that one in Oklahoma. Eastern portion of the country looks pretty quiet. South America, Bolivia. Let's see, a little 4 activity, 4 range yesterday. Now looking at the models today, does show some 2s and 3s out here in the white color rings, indicating some newer earthquake activity. So we'll continue to watch this. You know, a lot of times we will get a glimpse of where the momentum and stress could be building. But we'll keep an eye here across the Middle America Trench, as this area is very capable of producing some much bigger earthquakes. We'll definitely watch that, see if the swarm continues or intensifies. Hawaii, of course, we did see that 4.6 there into the Big Island yesterday. That was due to the bending of the Pacific plate out here due to the weight of the Hawaii Islands. That was somewhat of a deeper earthquake out there, 4.6. Not really noticing any changes, no major adjustments going on. Kilauea Volcano did have a 2.2, but that's fairly deep underneath the area, about 29 kilometers deep. Western Pacific here, across the Philippine plate. Well, all of this activity here from yesterday. Let me check the smaller quakes, see what we have. A handful of smaller quakes, it looks like, across the Indonesia region. Java Trench as well, some 4s kicking off. But aside from that, looks like a typical day of earthquake activity out there. I had a 4.8 here out into the Antarctica area. Now that's going to be the Australia area and the Antarctica region. Show you guys the exact area right down here. Australia plate, Antarctica plate. Right about here. And that area has actually been somewhat active here over the past month. We've seen a handful of quakes here bouncing back and forth here between Tonga and this area down here, which is a divergent boundary, mostly divergent boundary activity. So that could be a telltale sign here of some increasing movement around the New Zealand area that sits in the middle of this activity that bounces back and forth. So this was a 4.8 earlier this morning. It looks like about 7 or so. 10 kilometers deep. That is the defaulted depth there for the divergent boundaries. 5.0, Loyalty Islands from yesterday. So we'll watch this area across New Zealand. Let's see if we got anything smaller going on. Doesn't look like we're seeing too much activity currently across the New Zealand area, but as always, we'll double check the GeoNet servers. And if nothing's going on, then we'll definitely keep an eye on this area today. A couple smaller quakes within the last few hours, but that's about it. A 2.4 5 hours ago. That's, nothing really to write home about. The earthquake drums here. Looks pretty calm, clear. Not really seeing anything major going on there. There's potentially that 2-pointer showed up locally to the Jackson Bay area, it looks like, on this seismograph station. I believe that's going to be that one. But aside from that, we'll watch this area today for some movement. The Alaska region, Aleutian Trench, pretty quiet. Not a whole lot showing up there on the USGS map. Neither the globe here. Very minimal activity here today, it looks like. 2.5 map and above. A handful of quakes, but a lot of that's from yesterday. Mostly smaller microquakes, but at a declining level today. Let's see what else we have here. Puerto Rico area. Now that's the region that has been seeing some activity up here across the trench. And of course that 6-pointer that came in here back on the 10th. So we're coming up on about 4 days or so since that 6.6. That area, of course, under the gun far as pressure goes, I believe. Got to watch the Puerto Rico Trench area. For now, though, things are toning down slightly. Looks like the last earthquake was a 2.4 there into the Puerto Rico area. Although in the middle section here this time, most of the activity occurs down southwestern edge. But you got to remember there's a couple different troughs here putting the squeeze on the Puerto Rico area, specifically on this part of the plate. All right, let's see. Not a whole lot going on further in the Atlantic. Let's see what we got here across the Mediterranean. Very quiet. Notice that there's not a whole lot of activity currently over the past couple days. Movement north of Iceland here, 4.0, well north. The Atlantic Ocean, got a 5.0 in the South Sandwich Islands, but That was from yesterday. Not a whole lot of activity currently taking place there across the Atlantic today. Jumping into space weather activities, see what we have. Toning down. I mean, we're really rapidly declining here. Although we did see, notice this here overnight, we did see a couple C flares, but it's getting lower. The threshold here, the baseline, is almost down to a B level, which means very, very minimal conditions. Not a whole lot of flaring currently taking place right now. A look at the magnetogram, there we go, spit it out for Friday. Shows obviously quite a few sunspot regions out here that are fairly stable or declining in terms of their complex structure. There's not a whole lot. I still think we got to watch this area. There's a few areas of notice the close colors here in that core. Here's our newer sunspot area. It doesn't quite impress me all that much. The massive sunspot region that has been down here on the southern hemisphere of the sun continues to grow, and it's looking like it's getting another core down here on the southern edge of it. I'll kind of keep an eye on that, but looks like maybe we're declining here. Not a whole lot of potential. Right now, the threat level still stays the same. I don't think Kevin's got a chance to update this, or if they've updated it at all. 99% chance for a C flare, M flare at 55, X flare around 20%, with a proton event around 10%. But I think these are slightly lower. It looks like almost looks like there's a little bit of flaring coming in currently as we speak. Most of the time it's easy to see these things, but I believe it's hard to say. Either way, it must not be anything big. Maybe this area right here. But nothing big coming in yet. Honestly, I don't know if we're going to see anything either. All right, let's see. Weather outlook today, enhanced area across a good portion of eastern Kansas. Now, I know this area needs a bunch of rainfall. They've been kind of left out. Western Kansas has gotten a lot of rain. Western Nebraska, all these areas out here around the Panhandle's got quite a bit of rain now. Hopefully it's their turn to get in on some of that drought-busting moisture. But along with that comes the threat of some severe weather today. 2% chance around Wichita. Not a big threat, but if you're out there today, stay weather aware. Looks like the main threat's going to be some big-time wind. Those strong thunderstorms bringing out some inflow winds and outflow winds. Those can be just as damaging as a small tornado. Talking about 65 knots or greater within 25 miles of point within this hatched area. Again, that covers a large portion of Kansas here and portions of northern Oklahoma as well. A threat of hail as well, 30% chance. Definitely want to stay weather aware if you're out there in the Kansas area today. Thunderstorm activity, there you go. Looks like everyone's going to get some rain out there, hopefully. For those folks, they definitely need it. West Coast, we are baking. Like literally, we are baking in the sun out here. I got 93 degrees here at 11:16 a.m. California time. And I'm not liking what I'm seeing with the dew point. It's up there in the upper 60s, 68 degrees, which is making it feel like 96. Now, I'm hoping for a dominant north wind out here, but it doesn't look like we're going to see it. A north wind would push some of this delta breeze, the moist air that we get from the bay on occasions, that funnels up into Sacramento Valley here. I'm hoping that will push it down. It'll cook the temperatures, but it'll also dry us out. I'm not a fan of the heat index that we've seen with our last heat wave out here. But around Chico right now, 93 degrees. That's what I got here. Today, it's supposed to be around, 107 or so. Well, 109. There we go. 109. Now, it looks like we do have a little bit of wind stirring up here, north wind, hopefully. Keep us drier. But hotter. It kind of defeats the purpose, right? You think you'd want some more moisture in the air to keep it cooler, but at the same time, it just makes it muggy. It's not good. Tomorrow, it's another story. Tomorrow, 113 degrees in Chico. Sacramento 109, Redding 113. Sunday's going to be our hottest day. Let's see what they've proclaimed that as. 115 it looks like here around Chico, 116 in Willows. And that'll probably happen, although with this south breeze coming in, look at that. See that Bay Area Delta breeze funneling in up here. So it's possible we may not reach 115 depending on how strong this breeze is, but at the same time it's going to make it feel muggy. Yeah, 93 degrees, 44% humidity right now with 67 degree dew point. 97.3 is the feels like temperature, and it's only going to get hotter. So I think it might be a pool day. I'm telling you, I think it might be a swim in the pool day, barbecue, and maybe have an adult beverage or two. We'll see how that goes, though. Just try to stay cool if you can. The latest El Nino La Nina pattern is out. This is the month of June. Notice the ocean temperatures out here well above normal from the average sea temperature out here. That's a sign of El Nino. Also, a lot of warming going on out here in the eastern Pacific. That might play a part here on our summer. Although slightly, it looks like cooler. There's a portion here that's cooler, it looks like, but I think that's fading very fast. But either way, it looks like we're seeing an El Nino pattern, potentially strong, lasting through the northern hemisphere winter. That could spell a very wet winter out here for California. We'll go into more of that, though, as we get closer towards our wet season, because right now, we have no rain in sight, and that's just how it's going to stay. We're going to deal with some heat. And it's cooking out there. It's definitely cooking, all across the country right now. But let's see what these temperatures are going to be here throughout the country. A little hot, right? Texas got that Gulf. Look at that high pressure system right here, spinning up all that moisture. Well, humidity, that is. Not a whole lot of thunderstorms or anything, but that moisture in the air is going to interact with some areas up around the Wichita and Kansas area later this afternoon. Going to be nice and cool up there, but humidity values, I'm sure, are off the hook here. Humidity, there we go. Actually, it's really not. Doesn't look like it anyway. Mostly around the coast, a little bit up here in Oklahoma City and the Kansas area, but over here in Texas, it kind of looks dry. 24%. Out here in California, now it shows 9%, but I'm still showing 41% humidity here. But this is going to be later this afternoon, so hopefully that humidity will just disappear. I don't like it. I like the humidity if there's going to be storms following the heat, but we're just not set up out here along the West Coast for that type of setup. Massive low pressure system off the shore, spinning up. Beautiful low pressure system. I wish it was kind of a little bit stronger and heading down this way. We'd get wet out here along the West Coast, but that's not going to happen. Hurricane spinning out into the Pacific over there. As far as the direction goes, let's see exactly where this hurricane is headed. Well, it's kind of hard to say. It's pretty slow. Which hurricane is that? Is it Dawn? I guess the best thing to do is to go to the regions here real quick. Let me double check and see. What's going on here with this? Oh, I see what's going on. Well, we'll just use this, North Pacific. I kind of want to see where this thing's going to take off to. It looks like it's just generally to the northwest, and more than likely that's where it's headed. It's headed in the general direction Hawaii actually right at Hawaii if you look right here, but it doesn't look like it's gaining any strength. We'll have to watch that though, as the models are showing that thing headed directly to the Big Island area, and then another one behind that. But we'll see. These things tend to die off when they get into the Pacific there, a little bit cooler waters, and run into some shear. Either way, we'll watch it and, of course, report back on it as always. All right, folks, have a good Friday. Please stay safe out there. Make sure you guys take it easy this weekend. A lot of heat out there. I'm going to take it easy, that is for sure. Have a good one. Catch you guys back here later tonight with the update. And tomorrow, don't forget, we do have the member drawing taking place. So we'll probably do that around 2 o'clock my time tomorrow. Member drawing. Giving away some prizes there. Make sure you guys become a member for extra perks, extra videos, monthly drawings. Good stuff. We'll catch you guys back here later tonight. Have a good one, folks.